Hello and welcome to day 20 of Adventures in Tarot Casting. This has been a series where I'm exploring a lot of our casting boards and showing you how I personally would use the particular layouts that are presented on the board. When I say layouts, I'm talking about these card placements that you see kind of ghosted in if it's a color board or if it's an engraved board. There's generally placements on there. The reason for that, and I'm assuming you've been here for the part of this whole series, but just in case you haven't, and this is the first video that you're stumbling upon, welcome. I'm so happy you're here. A lot of these placements come about because of the tools that we create, and it is my goal to inspire you and help you get playful with your practice. So this kind of what these are. These are stages that set the backdrop, and today's particular stage is the Death card from the Out of Hand Tarot. Ta-da! The Out of Hand Tarot is launching tomorrow on Kickstarter at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am so excited. I can't wait. When I was approaching this card in the deck, I knew I wanted to incorporate some sort of skeleton because to me, the Death card is one of my favorite cards. And if you are familiar with the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, you know that the Death card has so much scenery going on. It has a skeleton in armor on a white horse, kind of riding over the body of a fallen king. There's a pope or a religious type figure with some family members grieving around them. So there's a lot of symbolism and messages that come along with that card, you know, the death being the natural order of life, everything must die, everything comes to a natural end, right? How does that look in our modern world? Yeah, sure, we have these huge religious spectacles of grieving and this and that, but usually it's very internal, you know? So I knew I wanted to have an urn. I knew I wanted to have somebody kind of holding it. So this person could be the person at the funeral home or the person presiding over the ceremonies. It could just be somebody remembering the times that they had with this person. You know, like in today's world, a lot of people choose cremation, and so that they're still kind of with their loved ones, especially if they're on a mantle or whatever. So are we carrying these people around with us? Are we carrying this parts? Like, what is in your proverbial urn? Like, what parts of you have died that you haven't allowed to be placed upon that mantle? You know, there's so many different ways to kind of get deep into this card, even though it seems a little simple in symbolism. I still have the white horse. It's a lapel pin. We have the boat on the river Styx here. We have the Tudor rose that was in the flag. We have the skulls and crossbones that were on the horse's bridle, I guess. I don't think that's the right term, but you know what I mean. And then, you know, we have the actual X-ray skeleton of the person, because at the core of everybody, we really are just bones, right? We're bones, and there's so much organic makeup, but we all have this structure, this symbolism. So that's kind of my play for this card. It gets rid of all the other factors and makes this card more internal and more just standing there, how we face death, how we face those changes, those shifts. So this board could be used in that same vein. You know, like you could use the center card as what it is that needs to be placed upon the mantle. Stop carrying this part around with you. You no longer need it, you know. And then we have the two cards on the sides, and they could be those supporting things, or just seeing how they show up in the conversation is going to be how it's read together. And then I'm going to use some tarot tiles for above and below, and those could indicate the outward reactions. These could literally be replacing the grieving people, you know, like more energies that come in. And then I have the Lenormand in the corners is how I'm going to use it today. So let's just do a sample reading. If this message resonates for you, that's awesome. But again, with this series, I've been just showing how the readings come out with it. But if you get a message out of it, that's a bonus, right? So let's just get to it. I'm going to shuffle the cards. So what is it that we are carrying around in our proverbial urns? What part of us do we need to say goodbye to? What part of us do we need to mourn? Okay, we have the Eight of Swords. So that in that center is right off the bat. I think about the things that frustrate us. I think about the things that we get in our own way. You know, the swords is a mental suit. That's why in these cards I have the pens to talk about communication. This particular person can't get into their journal even though the key is right here. They're trying to go at it the wrong way. They're not seeing the solution even though it's right in front of them, right? So this is a part of you that you've been trying to overcome. This is this part of like, but I get so frustrated and then I let the frustration completely take me over. Put it in the urn, mourn it, acknowledge it, say, okay, I understand that there are many situations in life that are gonna frustrate me. I don't need to carry that around. This does not need to be the mountain that I'm gonna die upon. You know, there is always a solution if I can just calm myself for a second, right? So these are the things you got to think about when you get into that state of frustration. So then I'm going to put 2 cards on the sides as supporting. So we have the Eight of Cups and the Six of Pentacles. And these, I feel like, are ways of saying, okay, like you're frustrated because maybe there's a lot of stuff, like with this Eight of Cups, that you need to like clean up and tidy up. Like you're trying to go on to the next thing without stacking the things that need to be, like, without really analyzing your emotions and finding out what no longer serves you so that you can move away. Like I think about the Eight of Cups in this sense of the party's over. We need to clean up before we can go to the next thing, right? Emotionally, it's really hard to move on to something else if you're still seeing remnants in your life of what it was that is causing you to feel this way, what is causing you to be frustrated, what is causing, you know, it's okay. Take a step back, clean it up, put it in the trash. That way you can go about your day, your journey. And then we've also got the Six of Pentacles showing like, maybe you're frustrated because you're not giving enough of yourself to others, or maybe you're giving too much. Maybe you feel like there's this space of, well, I always do this and nothing is reciprocal. You know, think about the ways that you donate your time and your resources. Like, are you doing it from a space of expecting something, or are you doing it from a heartfelt space that's actually for the good, you know? So it's like, these are all things contributing to that frustration. You know, you're overwhelmed and then you're giving too much of yourself. Yeah, of course you're going to be frustrated. Of course you're going to be just carrying this thing around with you, right? So the energies above and below, you know, what steps can we do to help alleviate this, right? I'm going to see the top as like helping to get rid of it. And then the bottom is kind of that undercurrent of maybe what's anchoring us into this. And a lot of times when I do these readings, like I may say, oh, this is what this is going to be. But then when the cards start to lay out, it really becomes something else. And that's what I'm showing you right now. It's become something else. So we have the Seven of Pentacles. The Five of Cups. The Queen of Wands. The Tower. Ooh. Yeah, I feel like that's an anchor card. The King of Swords, excuse me. And we have the Three of Cups. So like I said, the top cards are talking about how it is that we can get out of this state of frustration, right? And we have that Seven of Pentacles, the Five of Cups, and the Queen of Wands. When I use the tiles, they're not another huge reading. Sometimes it's just general keywords, like Seven of Pentacles is like wait, clean up, with the Five of Cups, like acknowledge the mess, and then think about how to clean it up in order to stand in your power, right? So Seven of Pentacles, while you're in the space of trying to figure out the frustration, see the root cause of it, and then that is going to help you relight your flame, right? What is anchoring us in this is the Tower with the King of Swords and the Three of Cups, and I can't help but feel that your whole life has felt like this very active. It has to be, you know, I'm just so used to these catastrophic changes because of the things that you believe, because of the truths that you live in. And then you got that Three of Cups and you're like, well, this is how it's always been. This is my community. But just because it's how it's always been, if it's causing you to be frustrated, it's not working, right? It's just not working. And so now we're going to bring in some Lenormand tiles. And these are going to be like 2-card readings in the corners that help sum up the reading and kind of give some action steps. You know, Lenormand for me helps to anchor tarot because it's usually like, this is what it is, you know. So think about this. Tarot, we could go on for 2 hours, 3 hours about this whole reading, whereas Lenormand comes in and says, whoa, 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 let's bring it back, right? The idea is containment. So for the 2 in this corner, we have the key and the bear. So I'm going to put that here. See how they tuck in right there. And then for this corner, we have, let's get these over here, the cross and the garden. And the other 2, we've got the moon and clover. If I can get these in here for you. And then we have the ship and the dog. So in this point, we have, okay, so all this is going on. Like I said, it's about containment, right? And we are talking about the things that we carry around with us that should just be placed on a shelf. But in order to be placed on a shelf, we have to mourn it. And it's our ability to be so frustrated by things and realizing our expectations are, you know, oh, but I always do this, or oh, like these feelings being in your cups, and then not feeling that it's being reciprocated. I do this for so-and-so, I do like all this, and it's going, okay, I need to wait, I need to acknowledge, I need to feel this grief, but I also need to understand that it's not who defines me. I'm standing in my power. What's anchored me is these belief systems that I, you know, these truths that I hold to be so true, but now they're coming crumbling down. But this is how it's always been. This has been my community. This is where I'm at. So then the Lenormand comes in and says, yeah, but you always will have access to these resources, right? Like key with bear, it's like you have access to the resources. You don't need to be frustrated. And then you've got the cross and the garden and saying, okay, sometimes being out in the community can be a burden. Sometimes the communities we're raised in is a burden. Our family is a community. It doesn't make it great, right? So then we go to the moon and the clover and you say, okay, put a spotlight on the opportunities. What is it that has your focus? What is your calling? Where's your reputation? You know, like there's so much opportunity in just being who you are. And then we have the dog and the ship, and it's saying, be loyal to that part of you that wishes to expand your horizons, right? So that is how I obviously would use this board. I did it right here for you on the fly. You know, so then you can look in it and you can just keep it going if you want to. I mean, it's a good stopping point. Like the reading is done. We have some action steps. We have some like points of reason that come in and say, okay, you don't need to be frustrated. The key's right here. We've got the key here. You know, you could start looking at the different symbols. 3 of Cups reminds me of garden, you know, tower, obviously with cross. It's, you know, there's a lot of emotions, but when we're dealing with our grief and we're dealing with the things that we're mourning and that we're still carrying around, of course, this kind of stuff comes up. These boards help you create a safe space to confront them. If something really comes up, obviously, and, you know, the tarot is leaving you a little bit like, oh my God, I don't know how to interpret that reading, or maybe you need something a little bit more, I will always advocate for reaching out to a professional counselor, therapist, whichever. But this is how I use tarot in my practice, and I am just so happy to be able to share it with you. I hope you enjoyed this demonstration. I will be back tomorrow. I'm going to be using the Out of Hand tarot casting board tomorrow because it's Out of Hand day. Woo! So until tomorrow, I will see you then. Have a great day. Bye.